Hey everyone, another episode, another dog walk. In today's video I want to talk to you about why I got into motorsport and share with you some stories from my childhood through to kind of karting and on to how I got into becoming a racing driver. So stay tuned, but first I want to show you what we got up to on our wedding night, or what was supposed to be our wedding night. Hopefully soon I'll be able to actually take you to a racetrack or something to do with motorsports. Thank you for putting up with me with, with just random walks, chatting away. So I want to take you back to my childhood and kind of the starts of why I like motorsport and how I got into it. So from a really young age, my uncle used to race ovals on dirt at Combe Valley in Dover. I don't know if you guys know about it. It's across the road. Oh yeah. Yeah, so I want to take you back to when I was a kid. Hang on, the dog's going to trip me up. I can feel it happening. Okay. He just walks really awkwardly. Yeah, I want to take you back to when I was a kid, how I found motorsport and what I used to enjoy. So basically when we was young, we used to go to Combe Valley to watch my uncle race ovals. He had a Sierra that was properly cool. I used to sit in it and get in the way in the pits when he was kind of working on the car. But yeah, me and my family used to go down, sit on the bank, take loads of picnic food. My memories of that was basically sitting or standing by the fence with my granddad, cheering on my uncle, and he was pretty good, to be fair. He won several championships, and so much so that other teams would try and cheat to knock him out so that they could win. So it used to be quite fun. It was a good experience. When my uncle used to win a race, they used to have like a flatbed transit that basically all the drivers used to get on, and that would be kind of drive around the track to show the podium. And I always used to run to the gate where the actual van was and jump on with my uncle. I'll show you a picture of what that might look like. But yeah, I used to go around the track and feel like, oh, this is so cool. My uncle was awesome because he's won this race, and all these people here watching, and it kind of started the buzz for what I thought motorsport was for me, and kind of seeing it from the paddock side versus what you see on TV. And it was such a cool experience. I've got loads of cool memories. Me and my family always talk about it, and it was great days. So kind of to replicate that now is pretty cool. That's kind of keeping it going in the family. My granddad was a huge F1 fan. He was a huge British touring car fan. Not particularly a fan of Jason Plato, but Cody, my dog's taking a poo. Yeah, and we love the moment when Jenson Button got the World Championship with Braw, and that was such a cool moment. It was a proper season for him. He got an amazing start. Obviously, Braun kind of tailed off towards the end, but Jenson Button done it, and it was a proper cool season for him. He can look after a set of tyres for a long time, whereas kind of the more aggressive drivers didn't suit us. So yeah, that's why we love Jenson. Partly why I run the number 22. And my dog's named Jensen, so maybe that's a bit too much, but yeah, we're a massive fan. Sadly, my granddad's not with us now, so it's super sad that he's not around to see my racing journey, but he looks over me, I know that, and I can feel that all the time. And whenever I'm in the car, I kind of have this proud moment of my granddad will be looking over me and keeping me safe. And it's a cool thing. If he was around, he definitely would be stood there with his arms behind his back. When I was a kid, I didn't really get a chance to go-karting, but I had this really cool pedal go-kart that was the replica of Mansell's, I think it was. But yeah, I lived on that thing. I used to when it was raining, I'd kind of pedal around my house. It was really small, but I just managed to pedal around my house, and if not, I was driving my dad mad in the garden, pedaling around with it while he was trying to do the grass or, you know, the chores. So yeah, I kind of sat on that thing a lot. I used to watch the races on that thing, and yeah, it was a cool little toy. I did love it. I don't know where it's gone now.
What did you do when you was a kid?
Things I used to do when I was a kid. Things I used to do when I was a kid. Eat a lot. Oh dear, side story.
Hi guys, how you going?
How you doing, mate? You alright?
Good, Toby.
Good, yeah, good. Recording the next episode. Say hi. Yeah. Take care, mate.
See you later. Good to see you guys.
Yeah, you too. So we thought we'd come down and get some chips, sit on the beach. Yeah, so I met my buddy Russ Mead at work. He's a train driver also, and we got talking one day about how much we love motorsport and want to go go-karting. So we decided just to go to Buckmore Park and have a go, and we went to a practice session, thought we was absolute awesome, and we then entered the Buckmore Park Pro Championship. But there's going to be a new video coming really soon, once we're out of lockdown of course. We're going to head to Buckmore Park and kind of recreate what we used to do. In a nutshell, we thought we were awesome to start with, and we absolutely got our asses handed to us in the very early days, but we learned quickly, and we got reasonably good at, you know, as quick as we could possibly do. And kind of the tradition was to go to Burger King at the Maidstone services after Buckmore Park, and where we'd literally debrief for a good hour, and it would normally end up with one of us getting a text from our partners saying, "Where are you? You're supposed to be home a while ago." I'm pretty sure Katie can vouch for that. And we used to sit there and chat about the racing, and once a month we'd go to Buckmore Park and have a race, and it was like our kind of medicine from the things we were dealing with in our lives. And it brings me on to my next point really, of why I started racing. And partly obviously my childhood, I've always wanted to race, so going go-karting was amazing, but I soon realised that the go-karting allowed me to deal with the fertility side of my life. Like, I was going for a really hard time dealing with the fertility and infertility and kind of our journey through IVF, etc. And no one at the track knew, barely any of my friends knew about it, but it was a chance for me that I could go to Buckmore Park, I could race my heart off, be aggressive and let off my steam and anger and all these emotions that I kind of bottled up. I could just go to the track and just let them go, and it was like therapy for me. It was really like crucial that I went, and each month I was just getting more and more sort of ready to go, and all this energy was built up. And the cool thing is I used it in a really positive way. All this negative energy, I turned it into something really positive. And I think towards the end of Buckmore Park, I kind of, the fact that I was obviously doing these great things, I didn't really talk about it that much, and it was really isolating going through fertility and being potentially the reason why me and Katie couldn't have children. And yeah, it's tough. It's been nearly 2 years now that we've you know, lost our two attempts, and I can't really put it into words of actually how difficult that is to deal with. Even now it still gets to me. But I went through like a really bad period of depression where not even with Katie I would talk too much, and I was really down, and I just didn't have the energy and the buzz that I kind of have through the most part of my life. And Buckmore Park was kind of like the place for me where, like I said, like where I can sort of express myself. And that year of hope and desperation for having a family that didn't happen, and it was tough, was the year that I became podium on the Buckmore Park Pro Championship, which was electric. To finish in the top 3 in the championship was like mind-blowing. And I got voted as Buckmore Park's driver of the year, and even now I still can't believe I won that. We were at the awards dinner, me and Katie, and it was a really special time for us because it was a chance that we actually got to go out and enjoy ourselves as a couple, and it was something that we didn't do and have for such a long time because fertility treatment got in the way. So we was happy just to be there and enjoying it, and the fact that, you know, I was lifting a trophy, being in the top 3 of this championship. And Buckmore Park's a really great place to be, to win, you know, and to do well in these championships. So I was super proud of that. But when the sort of commentator through the evening, the presenter through the evening, was talking about this driver's got a lot of potential, he's come here and he's really impressed us, and this year the driver of the year goes to, and they announced my name, and I was just sat there like, no way, there's no way I've just won this award. Like, there's some serious drivers that have won this award in the past, like Mike Conway, for example. He's a Le Mans winner. He's on this trophy. So to win it was like, no way, I couldn't believe it. So it's super electric. And it takes me on to the next part of the journey into motorsport then, and I'm now going to eat my chips because they're getting cold, but I'll catch up with you real soon. Just got back from my walk and cup of tea, and that's it. And end of the video. Ta-ra! Down the beach, just chatting about how shocked I was with like winning Buckmore Park's Driver of the Year, and it brings me nicely into kind of how I transformed go-karting into car racing and how I got into it. I'm going to do another episode about how I actually became a racing driver and looking at the sponsorship side. But so how I got into car racing was really quite a cool thing, to be honest. I mean, I got invited down to Brands Hatch last year, back in about January. A guy called Vince Caldecott, who owns a company called Premier Contract Supplies, invited me down to Brands Hatch and have a go with his Ginetta G40. It was a really like wet day, and I was so nervous because I've never driven, and I didn't want to crash his car. Like, the guy had given me a chance to have a go with his race car. I've dreamed of driving a race car for a very long time, so now to actually be going to Brands Hatch was properly cool. So I arrived at Brands Hatch, booked on, got strapped into the car, was absolutely bricking it. I'm going to be honest, it was I wasn't scared of driving, I knew my ability, but I was so scared of crashing because the conditions were so horrid, and I'm not particularly great in the wet. I was obviously very, very nervous, and I think it was like 3 laps, and I was building up my pace, and yeah, I spun. Just coming down the end of the Cooper straight, it hit the brakes, and the car just rotated on me, and yeah, I spun out, but luckily I went straight down the track. There was no damage done. I got pulled into the garage, and the marshal at the track had a bit of a go at me. But what we found out afterwards, which was a little bit annoying, was there was loads of oil on the track and there was no flags out for oil. So it kind of wasn't my fault, but, you know, inexperience and lesson learned there. But it was quite fun. But anyway, the track was drying out a little bit as my session went on, and it was an absolute hoot. Like, I'm so grateful for Vince to allow me to have a go in his race car. It was just an absolute buzz. Like, I wish I had some video content I could show you guys of what that day was like, because I smile a lot, but genuinely my cheeks were aching when I got back in the pits. It was just absolutely electric, and it was just a complete like new experience for me to go from karting, which is a really, really raw experience driving a car, but driving a race car, there's like more noise, there's more going on. It's, you know, it's just such a cool machine, and the Ginetta's fantastic. You know, it's super stiff. It's a frugal little machine, and it's so light, so you can just chuck it into the corners, and it just kind of does what you want it to do. And everything I imagined a race car to be, that was it, and I was just like electric. So the day ended, and Vince and I had a chat about potentially racing. He's known me for a while prior to this day, and he's known that I've wanted to race, and you know, if I could have found a way to make it happen, I was determined to make sure I could. So it was a perfect opportunity for me to have a look about how I can make that happen. Vince and I had a chat about the car, and he was happy to sponsor me the race car, which was amazing. To get keys to a race car for a season was like, this now needs to happen. In the basics, I managed to find sponsorship with my employer, a few local companies, my fiance's business, New Street Designs, and we managed to get a deal secured to secure our seat in the Ginetta Racing Drivers Club. And the moment I signed up to it, I literally was sat on my laptop, clicked the registration, sent it off, and I was like, this is happening. I'm literally about to become a racing driver. To now be in this situation where I could be fulfilling my dream of becoming a racing driver, it was actually happening. And yeah, it was nuts. It was absolutely crazy. So more and more episodes are going to go on about each individual race weekend. I'm going to talk to you about the ones that I did last season, and hopefully the ones that are coming up this season if I can get the seat secured. But I just thought I'd give you guys a kind of like outline of why and how I've kind of got there. The next episode will be about the how, in terms of the sponsorship side and all the hard work that I've put in to get me on track. But when I became a racing driver, it was important for me to kind of continue this fertility journey, because the fertility was kind of it gave me the fire in my belly to do well and to kind of pursue into motorsport, and that's why I raced in the first place, was to try and overcome the negative thoughts around being infertile, and that was really tough. So I teamed up with Fertility Network UK. I've recently just become a brand ambassador for them, which is fantastic. So I represent them now officially, which is awesome. But they were a charity that supported me throughout my fertility journey, along with my counsellor, and I wanted to give something back. And I realised that in motorsport, it's viewed by thousands, millions around the world, and 1 in 6 couples deal with fertility. So I was like, why can't I combine how motorsports helped me out with my fertility journey and combine it with my racing and maybe help out others? Because I realised that at the early stages that talking about it out loud was really, really important. And the more I spoke to people about my journey through fertility, the kind of easier it felt like to deal with it. And the more people that I met that have also been through it or going through it, so we could then relate to conversations around how we felt through fertility journey. And it was a real eye-opener, because I no longer felt isolated in society, because that's the problem with fertility, is that you feel really alone because you feel like you're the only one going through it. Friends and family around you having children, and it's so hard to see that. Although you're so happy for your friends and family, it's so hard to see it.
It's hard to put it in perspective, isn't it?
Yeah,
what it's like.
Yeah, it's really hard. Like, I wish I could put it into words, because on the coin, you're like one side really happy because you're happy to see your friends having children. You wouldn't want your friends and family to go through what you're going through, but at the same time, it's this huge envy of I wish I had that, and I really want that for myself. And when you spent 6 years desperately trying for that, like, it is tough. So I linked the charity to motorsport, and what I do through motorsport is I campaign for fertility through motorsport. So I run the charity logo on my car. I actively campaign in the media with various different journalists, both in radio, TV and printed press, to promote and push that I am the person that's raising awareness for fertility through motorsport. So it was a great message for my sponsors, because my sponsors were well on board with what my goals were for the charity. Later on last year, the BBC got involved with a news piece because they saw the potential that this has, and the work that I'm doing for raising my profile of fertility. And we had a news article come out, and I was on BBC South East News. Like, that's nuts. So I've really, really flipped my life around, and I'm really on a positive sort of journey now of the things that I can do to help promote this particular way of life, and to support you guys out there that have gone through fertility treatment. I know we've kind of gone off on a tangent of motorsport. This is what this episode was about, but that whole thing together is why I'm racing, and I want you to know that's exactly why I'm here racing, because it's a good step in my life, and all the people around me are now benefiting from motorsport. You know, my friends, family, sponsors. We've all had a fantastic year together last year, and I'm really hopeful for more of that time ahead. But I want to keep putting this message out there that anyone that's going through fertility treatment, and if you're interested in motorsport, this is probably why you're watching this channel, then get in touch, because I'm more than happy to chat anytime. But yeah, I feel like this whole journey into motorsport has been like an absolute gift. I mean, first and foremost, it's a dream come true that I'm now a racing driver, and I'm racing and doing the thing that I really, really love. But the fact that I've combined this with a negative part of my life to make something positive out of it, and now I'm actually helping others out there, it feels like an absolute gift. And I feel so fortunate in an unfortunate way that I can do something positive. But that's what I want to really try and promote, is that no matter what's thrown at your life, always try and look for a positive outcome. It wasn't the intention of this vlog to talk about that kind of thing. It was talking about why I got into motorsport. But I just hope I inspire you all to live a happy and positive life, no matter what life throws at us, and that's what's important. So that's the end of this week's episode, guys. Next week, I'm going to talk to you about how I actually got into motorsport, and the fundamentals of the sponsorship and all the business side into motorsport, and how I actually got the drive in the Ginetta. So stay tuned for that episode, and we'll see you next week. Motorsport. Oh yeah.